right, we're going to start the demo for actually doing the claymation and how to use the app. So just made a really quick example to give you an idea of what you're going to be doing. So what I've set up here is a mount for my camera. As you can see, it's just tape in a box. I do want you to find a way to fix your camera into place. It's very important that it's not moving around. Like I said in the previous video, you can see that I taped it to the box. I also taped it down to the platform which I'm working on, so that way that box doesn't move around. Because as you go and adjust things on the app, or manually take the photos, sometimes you can knock it and adjust it. I'm working just here with this empty box to give a little contrast to the clay so that you can see better. You definitely don't have to do that. You could use a backdrop just in your house, or a blanket, or whatever you want for the background. But you can see I've got just this old box here. So I'm going to try and keep the camera in the view so that you can see what's going on and see how to use the app. All right, to start off, I've got some pieces that I made. Here we go. Here I've got like a little dial, and then something that I'm going to fix to the back here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what movement looks like, little bits of movement. So what I've done is smeared to get this back part to fit nicely. Let's see, on the back. Move this over so that you can see. What I'm going to do is, this might just slide down so you can see. So what I did is I took a little bit of oil clay, and just stuck on here and smeared it down, which is what I talked about in that one of the previous videos about getting it to stick. Oil clay likes itself, so now I can put it over this, just give it a little bit of a tap. And now this is fixed into place. Can smooth and adjust a little bit. And the other thing I've done is, I'm gonna have to shift this over a little bit. All right, then I've made this dial here, and this dial is the part that's going to be moving. So because I'm going to keep adjusting and I want it to stay sturdy, what I did is I stuck a thumbtack in the back of it, and then I poked a little hole in here. And then this is going to it's going to give me a little bit of security. I'll move this back part over so that it fits nicely. A little bit of security each time I move it, and a little bit of strength. As you can see, now I'm able to spin it this way. Okay, all right. So the oil clay is sticky, so you can see that it might not spin easily. So I'm just gonna come in here and remove a little bit around this edge so that it moves, it spins easily. All right. So once I'm happy with that, we're going to talk about setting this up on the app. All right, so if we focus in here on the app screen. All right, so you open the app up, and if I'm going to first select new movie here, and you can see that I've set it up to be centered in my screen. So there's a lot of different options that you can play around with, and I'm going to show you a few of the main ones. So all you're essentially doing is taking photos, a bunch of photos in a row, and between each photo I'm slightly moving it. And then you can adjust the amount of images that show per second that will give the illusion that this is actually a moving picture. So over here, if I hit plus, I'm able to add images. The audio, titles and credits, and clip, those are things that if you have the paid version, those work. But you can add images from a different movie, or let's say that you go back and you want to add photos, you're splicing together other things, or you're whatever, then you're able to insert images from your camera roll. This settings button here, I can adjust the aspect ratio. So if I want to crop all of this out, one option is to play around with the aspect ratio, like this. I'm gonna go here to the square and then just move my set over until it's kind of centered in my screen. Let's see. We'll try this. All right. Hit done. If you go back in here, these are some paid options, but there's some framing that you can use. Also some filters. I'm going to use HD for quality. And this talks about the playback. So you have the option of playing only the last frames. I can play all the frames. I can play it only once. I can tell them to sit on a frame for a certain amount of time. Here we go. I can loop the playback, which means it'll play over and over, kind of like a GIF. So what I'm gonna do is, for this one, I'm gonna say loop playback and hit done. The reason is I want this one to work a little bit more like a GIF, where it just repeats over and over. All right, so what I'm gonna get started now is I'm gonna hit this camera button up top. And the beautiful thing about this app is everything is controlled for you. So it's going to string all of this together, and there's a lot of different settings that make things a little bit easier to use. So one thing is, let's say that I want to zoom in and zoom in really close up so that I can get just the, let's see, it's a little bit washed out. There we go. Just to get the dial in the photo or in the screen. So what I'm going to do is this one on the bottom, these adjustments, camera, the M, I'm going to keep it on auto. This zoom here, I can play around with the zoom and I can go in and out this way. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back, I'm going to change the aspect ratio. Let's try this aspect ratio, and then I'm just gonna actually try and zoom in and see if that centers my piece a little bit better. All right, I'm gonna tilt my camera down. So whatever the zoom or aspect ratio you choose, it's going to be the same for all of your images. And you can retroactively do it. All right, this allows you to rotate or flip your images, but I think we're good to go now. All right, so you can see that my dial is pretty centered. And now, the other things I'm going to show you is you've got this timer, and the timer allows you to work quickly, and it shoots the images for you in intervals that you decide, and without having to go back and forth and keep hitting the capture button. Over here on the left, what this does is it shows you a ghost image of the previous photos. You can choose previous 1, 3, 5, however many you want, and that will allow you to space things evenly. So if you're moving something in a certain direction or with certain increments and it's hard to remember where it's been, you can see the ghost image of the previous photos, and that will help line things up. So what I will do is, before setting the timer, I'm just gonna show you how it works with the timer off, and you just take a photo. Just the red button, take a photo. And then what I want to do is, so you see how it's a little bit blurry? What that is see, this offset is on, so I can see that previous photo. You see how if I move this camera around, or if I move this around, there's a ghost image. So one thing is you can see that's happening is while I am working, while I was hitting that button, it was slightly shifting and vibrating my piece. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna actually tape my piece back here to the wall. I'm gonna hope that that will keep that from happening. All right. I'm gonna turn this ghost image off for right now. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna take a photo again so you can see. There we go. So take a photo. This would be my first one. And then basically every time I move it, I'm gonna move it slightly and take a photo. So every time I hit it, it gets annoying to go back and forth. So this is where the timer comes into play. So if I go up and hit timer, and I'm gonna set it pretty quickly because there's not a whole lot of adjustments I can do. So I'm gonna have it take a photo every 2 seconds. Now, if I hit go, photo, I can move it. So you're gonna make sure to get your hand out of the way. You can see my hand keeps getting in the way. So it could just be that it's a little bit too fast. So I can stop it here. I'm gonna make it go up to 4 seconds and then keep going. So I can always go back after I've done taking the photos, I can go back and delete the images I don't want. So don't worry if you have, if it starts automatically taking photos that you're going, oh, I don't want this thing. Oops. See, my thing keeps slipping. Then back to off. All right, so to stop it, all I'm gonna do is hit the red button. It'll stop taking those intervals. Now I have all sorts of options. So I could go in and play it. So here is an example of that is just the photos I've taken. I haven't gone out and edited anything out. I can also go in here and I could adjust some things a little bit more if I wanted to. Now, I'm gonna go back and this is my timeline of the images that I've taken. And I can individually go in and select and edit different ones. So, you can see. So what I'm gonna do is, remember when I was manually taking these photos? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start up here. I'm gonna delete, let's see, what does that one look like? All right, I'm gonna delete these first 3 photos. Maybe I'll keep the first one. I wanna delete these 2 in here. So what I'm gonna do is I can just click on it and hit delete. Could go in this, hit delete. So right now I have this, this, this. So I'm actually gonna delete this first one too. I don't like that one. I can go in, so all the ones with my hands, obviously I don't want my hand in the piece, so I can delete them this way. Now let's say that there is more than one photo that you want to delete. So let's say I wanted to delete 9 through, like from this hand to this hand. What I can do is select this, hit select, and then whatever I drag it, I can delete entire sections or copy entire sections. So after I've selected that, I can click again. I could copy it, cut it, delete it. I could reverse it, merge it with something else. And then if I want to deselect it, like JK, I don't want that anymore, just deselect it. I do want these ones in between, so I'm gonna manually delete them. So delete. My hands are so gross. You can see these in these close up of my scarred, gnarly fingers. All right, there we go. So there's our stop motion video. Now, let's say I want to play with that aspect ratio again. I could go in here. See, there we go. So now I can crop out that edge like this. And now all of them are cropped. All right, you can also select, and let's say that I want to edit. I can go in here and also could actually rotate the photo itself. Mirror the image. These filters you do have to pay for, but let's just put this on black and white for kicks. Can also play around with the exposure. So this is really interesting, especially if you want something to appear like it's going from night to day, or there's some type of lighting effect, is you can actually manually do it in the app, right? Every so often start to change that as it's increasing, and then the opacity as well. So, all right, so I'm gonna go back here. All right. So if I select all of them, actually, all right. Doesn't look like there is one way actually to edit all of them at once, so just keep that in mind. So I'm going to turn that black and white off because I'm not going to sit here and edit every single one. All right. Go back. So now I can play it. Now, one thing to think about is how fast it's playing. That's this first thing here, speed. So right now it's set at 6. A really fluid claymation or stop motion video is going to be between 8 to 10 pictures per second. So a 30-second video is, you're looking at 300 images, which is why you want to set that timer up. You want as close movements as possible in a short period of time for it to feel seamless. What I would do for you guys is I think that you should stick between 6 and 10 images per second. So I'm going to keep it here at 6. You can see what happens if I change the speed down to, let's say, 3 and hit play. Right? Much slower, less fluid, very jerky. There might be times where you do need to slow it down, but if I do here, I'm actually going to increase this. Let's put it at 10 frames a second. See how much faster it is, right? But obviously it doesn't take up that much time. You can see where my background also started to shift. So that's a good reason why you want to fix your objects in place. One possibility is actually to do like an outline in the background so that if it does slip, you can always make sure it goes back to where you want it to be. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this at, let's set it at, I'm going to set it at 6 seconds, and then I'm going to select all of it, copy it, and paste it. So I'm going to actually double it this way. Here we go. All right, so once you're finished and you're happy with what you want, like I said, so you can edit, add other things. And let's say I wanted to add an image directly in the middle of here. I can go back, I can add images from my camera roll. Let's say I look at that again and I'm like, oh, there is a point where it's a little bit too jerky. I could take another photo and insert that. So it's not like a one-time deal where, once you're finished, you can't go back and fix things. You can delete, move things around, insert photos, cut, copy, paste, etc. All right. Okay, so now once you're finished with this, there is a paid option where you can add a title page, you can add credits, you can add music. So if you do want to do that, you can go here to plus and you can add like title and credits. You could pick one of these and that will show that first. But a fast way of doing is actually to write it on a piece of paper or even use your laptop screen and type something out and just take a photo. And you can just take several photos of the same image of that title and then put that in the beginning or the end so that you have a title page or whatever. Let's say you want to use text, kind of like in talkie films, silent films. So not talkie, sorry, silent films. That would be an option as well, as to insert text in the middle of your stop motion video. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to focus. There we go. Okay, so once I'm happy with this, all I have to do, it's already saved, so I can just hit this back button, and it's gonna take it back to my main screen. I can always go back and like edit one, like this is the one that I posted earlier that I did, right? I can go back, I could edit and splice things together too. So to export something, this is the one I want. I'm gonna hit select the one that I want, and then up here, I'm gonna export movie. So an animated GIF, that is going to be, you know what GIFs are, you use them on your phone or on the computer. That is a different type of file. What I want you to do is export it as a movie, but you're welcome to create an animated GIF. You can make some really, really cool GIFs off this, and like, just like any other GIF, they will just play on an internet browser, will play in iMessage and stuff like that. All right, so export movie, and then here I can upload it, save the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the video to my camera phone, or to my my phone, and into the gallery, and then from the gallery I'm going to export it into my email. And upload it that way to Latte or send it around this way. There's also options if you wanted to use iMovie, that you could go in and edit the video further, since now it's just a video file. All right, that's it.